We've always thought of great athletes as the strongest, the fittest, chiseled to perfection. But what's a strong body without a sound mind?
One thing as I dove into the gymnastics world, what I thought was crazy was mental blocks. But it's almost like sometimes in gymnastics you get these mental blocks that you just like, I could do it yesterday, but I can't do it today. And really, my message in those situations is the same thing. It's don't worry about wherever you were or wherever you want to go. Worry about where you are now and make the correction that you need to make.
Which is true, because for all the moms out there that always DM me like, hey, my daughter's having a mental block, or the girls that ask me that, I don't really have that problem because I've
So a lot of things is always bringing your focus back to what's most important at that moment, or what's most important for your progress moving forward. One thing that I really like is a game, I think we talked about it before, is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is one that is helpful, that's why I'm bringing it up, but just naming 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can feel, including temperatures and emotions, 3 things you hear, 2 things that you smell, and 1 thing that you taste. And what happens is that it brings you back to the moment, including all the details that are around you. So like if we did that here, you know, the walls, the pictures, all those things, into the emotions, the temperatures, what we can hear, like the refrigerator that I can hear kind of roll in the background, and the things that we can smell, the things that we can taste, and that brings us to the moment instead of all the other things that we could be focusing on, like my family at home or your other family, and not just Jonas but everyone else. Like there's so much that we could be focusing on, and if we bring our focus back to the moment, frustration melts away, because that frustration is always a lack of focus. So that's something that I love, is that as you're thinking about it and as you're dealing with frustration, you bring yourself back to your goals and things that you truly want, the things that are helping you make the most of those moments in training. And I think that's why the frustration is melting away. Would you say that's pretty true?
Most definitely, yeah.
Good. So everybody trains their mind always from the moment they wake up to the second they fall asleep. Like that's an automatic process. Your mind will remember, it will respond however you're thinking and believing. And so it's really important that you just do something deliberately that is challenging, that requires discipline. I think that's the very first thing that you can start doing moving forward, outside of understanding that, of course, you need it or what your weaknesses might be, but immediately starting to do something that is deliberate and challenging you to push yourself. And so a lot of times when, like what we're talking about now, like every time you get frustrated, have something that you go to. Use a reset button. Use your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 that we've already talked about. There's a lot of things that you can do, and I guess there's not really any specific ideal, just so long as you're making progress and willing to fail. Because mental training is just like training in the gym. Sometimes things don't work out well, but it's feedback, and so now you know which way you can go and how you can try different things. Is that how you feel like it works for you as well? It's really just a matter of trying a few new things that you think might work. It's all about figuring out a way to move forward and sticking to it. Yeah, so overall, just find a few things that might be weak points and be disciplined in following your plan to overcome those weak points. And if you don't know what to do, ask a teammate, ask a parent, ask a coach, and then try to stick to the plan that they give you. And if it works out, then keep doing that. If it doesn't, then adjust and pivot and try to find a different plan. Training your mind is never going to be something that happens from like day 1 to day 2. It's a continuous process, just like getting your body strong, just like getting better at gymnastics. It's the same kind of process that sometimes is very ugly and marred with failures, but that's something that is just part of what you need to do to make your mind strong. So I'm assuming that's how you feel right now, that it's some things aren't working, some things are, and you're rolling with it, right?
Yeah, and also when I first met with you, you had me write down a piece of paper, just like my goals and dreams and kind of the things that I needed to work on to help me reach my dream. And I remember like sitting down there writing all these things, like even eating better, getting the right sleep, and then kind of like just like what I needed to do in the gym. And sometimes I'll forget those things. So sometimes when I'm thinking like you said, you wanted me to spend like 30 minutes each day and try to like think about different things to like help me like go into the gym with a better attitude, or things to help me like have a good day at gym. And so like while I'm driving to the trainer and on the way to the gym, or just doing my daily routine, I'm just starting to like think about those things and think about my list. And I feel like that helps me, always reminds me to like know that I'm going to reach that end goal if I do these things. And so just like being in the gym, taking myself back to those little moments or the little things that I can do to be better, or doing my reset button, or just everything, it all just kind of comes together. And some days it might not always work the way I want it to, but that's when I know that I just have to come back in and try it again.
I'm actually very curious about how you deal with frustration. That was a question I want to ask in another bit. So Michaela, when you're frustrated as things are not quite working out for you, either in performance, or maybe you can speak to each one separately, but particularly in training, when things aren't working out well for you, how do you deal with the frustration?
What
do you do?
It's been really hard because like before I started meeting with you, I've never really like thought about it. And I feel like when frustration hit, I really just like let it get to me, and it just made that workout even worse. And I remember doing elite before, and my coaches would like have to kick me off that event because it would get so bad, and I would start being like, I can't do it, and telling myself I couldn't do it. And then the second like they kicked me off and said I had to come back, I remember just like, okay, well, you're here, you're gonna have to do it anyway, so you might as well make it happen. Mm-hmm. And so I know that I used to use that a lot, but sometimes I feel like it wouldn't always help either. But then now with my comeback, and then having you help me a lot, I've seen a lot of changes, especially from like, I mean, I feel like when I first came back, things were kind of coming easily. And then after Worlds, it was like the first time I actually was like kind of on a break, because I went through all of college season right into elite season. So I think after Worlds, my body had never done something that hard for like 3 years. Mm-hmm. And so my body just kind of had this like stop of like where it just felt like I couldn't do anything for a while. So I had to like get back into shape of things. And so it was really hard trying to even do half sets and parts at some points, and I just started getting really down on myself. And the second it wasn't starting to work out, like I said, just all that negativity started coming. But then once I started meeting with you, I feel like you gave me all those things to talk about, or like before gym, I'll sit there and look at my goals and do different things of like how I can be better today, and just to be positive. And if you want to make the Olympics, you got to do all these things and have a positive mindset and a positive attitude, and just do the best that you can do. So I feel like that definitely helps me just to take a step back, maybe visualize my routine, think about what I want to happen, and just kind of go from there. So it's been good.
Awesome. I see frustration as usually frustration is just a lack of focus. You started focusing on the wrong thing, on the outcome, or something that is maybe beyond your control, like if you're frustrated with a coach or frustrated with a teammate.
Or frustrated about your assignment on the next event.
Yeah.
Because that happens to me a lot. I start thinking about the other events, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. So then I can't get the first one done.
Lack
so
of focus,
yeah.
Right?
I have a question for you, actually.
For me?
Yeah, so you work with athletes in like every sport.
Mm-hmm.
What have you noticed when working with like gymnasts specifically, like things that help them especially, or areas of mental training that benefit gymnasts most?
One thing, as I dove into the gymnastics world, what I thought was crazy was mental blocks. Like that's pretty unique to gymnastics, because if like I grew up wrestling, I played football, I played almost every sport except gymnastics, and like there's not, like you don't just forget how to throw a football, you don't just forget how to do a double leg, but it's almost like sometimes in gymnastics you get these mental blocks that you just like, I could do it yesterday, but I can't do it today. And really my message in those situations is the same thing. It's don't worry about wherever you were or wherever you want to go, worry about where you are now and make the correction that you need to make. So what girls will do is they're like, okay, if I need to hit this one move or I'm working on this one series, they will take away the idea of like the corrections that the coaches are asking them to make, and they'll just try to do it how they've been doing it instead of actually making the correction. So make the correction the most important thing. That's success, not a perfect series. Does that make sense? And I think that is really a humongous game changer, because that's showing two things. One is that your mindset is right, that you're just trying to learn, but two is that you're coachable, that you're just listening to your coach, and that usually goes a lot longer. Like, you make a lot more progress if you're able to interact with the coach instead of just go all by yourself. So that's one of the main things that I would say is gymnastics is a whole different world, but one of the main things is that because it's always associated with score and being perfect and like no wiggles or whatever else in the routines, when making progress and developing skills, they try to make it perfect instead of just make the correction. So that's something I've said a lot, is maybe not to you, but to a lot of the gymnasts I've worked with, is don't worry about being perfect, worry about making the correction. Focus on the correction, fix that first, and then move forward. Because I think that's kind of the process that works best, is start baby steps and move forward, right?
Which is true, because for all the moms out there that always DM me like, hey, my daughter's having a mental block, or the girls that ask me that, I don't really have that problem because I've never really had the fear of throwing skills or doing skills. I've just always been really good at that. So if you guys have any questions, go to Clay, because he knows better than I do. So
I'll help you out. But that's, to answer your question, that's definitely one of the things I talk about most, because that's like in the grind of becoming a better gymnast day after day, like the learning process, you're not going to be perfect and things aren't going to be fantastic. So you have to embrace those moments when it really stinks and just focus on the next step that you need to take to get better.
hey guys, I hope that this was really helpful for you, and I'll be sharing more stuff throughout some of my videos of tips and tricks and different things that I've been working on with Clay. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you guys next time. If you guys have some questions or are interested in working with Clay, his information's down below, so don't forget to check that out.
And you don't forget to like and subscribe.
I love the two
That's a great way to end it. I like this, guys.
I don't know why I'm sitting like this. I think it's because I'm not like able to lean back, so I'm trying to like...
Yeah, this is, because the back's like way too relaxed. Sitting on it feels like super proper.
Too professional.
Yeah. It's gonna be a weird cut.
I'll make it work.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
Jonas is good.
Awesome.